everybody, Teacher Brett here and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about the level 4 certification level 4 lessons in the Certification Center. There are two lessons. There is the My Country lesson and the Earth, Our Environment lesson here. So again, if you have not watched my other videos, please be aware that your mock class mentor is going to pick which lesson they're going to have you do. So you want to have both lessons prepared. So we are going to start off today by talking about the My Country lesson. If you have access to the PDF for the slides, that'll be really helpful to pull up next to my video so that you can kind of walk through it with me. I am not going to show you the slides because those are the property of VIPKID, but we are going to go through each slide today and talk about it. If you are one of my referrals, make sure you get in touch with me because I do have a lot more detailed information for you available. So let's get started with that My Country lesson. The first page that you're going to see is the objectives. Remember, these are very important. These are going to be your goal, your focus for the class. So our grammar objective that we want to focus on is those contractions aren't and don't. Our phonics is the soft C sound that makes the S sound, not the hard C. And our target vocabulary is country or countries, flag, represent, capital, and landmark or landmarks. So you want to make sure that you are hitting those objectives very carefully as you're going throughout the lesson. Now this is an older student, so it is a little bit different than that younger level student, and your goals are a little bit different. They're going to understand a lot more of the language you use, so you can use a little bit more incidental language that you wouldn't be able to use at the younger level. You still want to pay very close attention though to make sure they're understanding the words that you're using. We are also looking for that student to produce more language. So we want them talking more, but not only do we want them talking more, we want them using those full sentences independently to converse with you. We want them engaging in a natural conversation, that back and forth question and answer. And we're looking for them to be able to answer more detailed, complex questions. We're looking at reading comprehension a lot more here with the older level students. So it definitely is a change of pace. You don't have to be as goofy or as as big as you might with the younger student, but you don't want to get rid of that altogether. You still want to use your props. You still want to use TPR. It's just the use of those might change a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at that first slide, which is our introduction slide. So a couple of things that you want to do on that introduction slide. Number one, you're going to introduce yourself and get the student's name. What is your name? Get them to give you that full sentence. Remember, we're looking for the full sentence. So my name is such and such. If they don't give it to you, have them repeat it or ask them, can you put that in a sentence? And get them to give you the sentence. We also want to ask that rapport building question, but in this level, you can ask some more complex rapport building questions. So you can go beyond, how are you? Or how old are you? So you might want to ask, what did you do today? Or did you go to school today? What do you like? You know, something a little bit more complex. And that's a good opportunity to gauge the student's level as well when you ask that rapport building question. If they struggle to answer it, then you know that maybe they're not quite at the level they need to be versus, a student who answers it easily. So you want to ask some kind of rapport building question. You also want to go over the lesson title with them. So today we're going to learn about my country, my culture. Again, you might use a little prop here, my country, my culture. Get them to repeat my country and my culture. All right, next is going to be a vocabulary slide, and it has a little reading passage. At this level, we want the student reading themselves. So you're going to ask the student, can you read? And you're going to have the student read. If it's a longer passage, I will break it up. So I might use my mouse and underline, a section or a sentence. This is a pretty short one, so I might just have them do it, but it's up to you. So you're going to have them read through the little couple of sentences here. What you want to be paying attention for is any kind of errors, that in pronunciation or a missed word or errors in the reading that they're making. If they do that, I usually will wait for them to finish reading, and then I'll go back and I'll underline where they made the mistake, and I'll ask them to read again. So maybe they say country. I'll go back and I'll underline that word, and I'll have them repeat it again. Again, any kind of visual aid that you might be able to pull up is good. So we're going to go over country. Country. Country, and get them to repeat that. We want to make sure that they say that vocabulary word at least 2 times for the older level. 3 is even better, but at least 2 times. Country. Get them to say it. Country. Now, what is going to be a little bit different in this level is you want to be asking some extension questions. So after they're done reading, you might ask them, which country are you from? Or are you from America? And get them to answer, no, I'm from China. Remember, full sentences. If they don't give you a full sentence, ask them, can you put that in a sentence? And get them to give you the sentence. We want to get away from them just repeating after you at this level. Our next slide goes over the vocabulary flag. So again, you might have flag. Sometimes if it's a difficult vocabulary word that I don't think they're going to know, I'll have them go over it before they read. So maybe I'll ask them, I'll go over it with them. Flag. Yes, good job. Flag. Yeah. Can you read? And then I'll have them read through as they go through. Again, be paying attention for pronunciation errors. They might ask you a question. What does symbol mean? So be prepared for that. Any tricky words in there, be prepared to be able to explain that to them. Oh, symbol means it stands for something. Or when I see the M, I think of McDonald's. M is a symbol of McDonald's. Or the flag is a symbol of China. You want to be able to explain that for them. Again, you can ask some questions to make sure they understood what they read. What flag do you see? I see China's flag. Yeah, good job. What color is the Chinese flag? That sort of thing. Now, since there was not a reward slide in this lesson, you will want to give out a secondary reward system. So you can either introduce that at the beginning when you are actually going over the lesson title, or you might introduce it when you give it out the first time. So I tend to introduce it when I give it out the first time. So maybe after this one, I would say, you did a great job. When you do good, we are going to draw the Chinese flag. And I might draw the red box or something like that. And then as we go, I'll draw the stars. Whatever your reward system you want to use is fine, but you do want to use a reward system throughout the class. Next page we have is the represent. Represent. So again, you're going to go over the word represent. Represent. Get those, break it into syllables if they're having a hard time with it. And then you're going to have them read the section and ask those comprehension questions to make sure. What does the Chinese flag represent? We want them to say it represents China. And again, you can use other things. What does the M represent? The M represents McDonald's. You might have other things that you can pull out and ask what they represent. Next vocabulary word we have is capital. Capital. So again, we want to go over our word capital. Capital. Have them read through and ask them those comprehension questions. And then our next one is landmark. So again, we have a little bit of reading on this one. We want to have them read through the first part. We want to go over a vocabulary word, landmark. You want to have props. Remember, you need to have some kind of props, and you want to be using TPR throughout the lesson. So I just have some pictures printed of props that I could use. You might have a flashcard or something like that. You will notice on this slide we have a conversation, a back and forth. So generally what I will do is I will circle Mike and say, I will be Mike, and I'll circle Meg. You will be Meg. Ready? What landmark is this? And then the student will read, "This is the Great Wall." So we're practicing role-playing that dialogue. If we have time, I might switch our roles. So we can try that, or maybe I'll try using a different landmark. Statue of Liberty, I'll teach them a different landmark. But you have that little conversation there to go back and forth on. Now we have a longer reading passage on the next page. I may go over my words that we learned before, and see if the student can remember what word, what word, what word, what word. What word? All right, let's read. And this is where I generally will break up the reading. It's a longer passage, so I will circle or I will bracket off a little section at a time. That way, if they make an error, I can go back and correct it quickly rather than having to wait for them to read through that whole entire page. So I will bracket off that first section, ask them to read, go back and correct any errors. Bracket off that little second paragraph, have them read, go back. And then we have the third paragraph. If I'm running short on time, I might choose to read a paragraph myself. Again, we want the student reading as much as possible, but you do want to be paying attention to that time. So if you're running short on time, you might go back and forth with the student and share the reading. The next section is another little dialogue. There's a woman asking some questions, and then we have Lee, the little boy, and there's some blanks that the student has to fill in. So again, I will circle the girl. I will be the girl. You be Lee, and I'll circle Lee for the student. So then I will read the first part, and then I'll have the student fill in the blanks on the second part. If they're running into trouble, then I've got my words here where I can help them. This is, I can give them that visual aid. China, good job. Beijing is the capital, so that I can help them out if they get stuck on that. Once we finish with that reading, we move on to the grammar section. And our grammar section here is are plus not equals aren't, do plus not equals don't. So you want to have some kind of way to help them visualize that. The one thing I often do is I have them kick out to the O. So I would show them, are not, are not. Kick out the O, and I usually will bring my foot up, because they think that's funny. Kick out the O, and we put in the apostrophe aren't, and I will do the same thing for do. Do not kick out the O. Don't. So I have that visual to kind of help them understand that we're taking out that O, we're putting in an apostrophe. And then we will read through the sentences. Again, depending on my time, I might read the first sentence, they are not from China, and then I'll have the student read the one with the contraction. They aren't from China. One of the things that you can do after you go through are not, after you go through don't, see if the student can give you a sentence. Can you think of a sentence for aren't? And see if the student can give you a sentence. Or can you think of a sentence for don't? See if they're able to give you a sentence. That really helps solidify whether they understand that or not. When we go to the next section, they are going to be changing out the are not and the do not. This is a great place to have them write on the screen, because our whole point here is we want them to knock out that O and put in the apostrophe. So I will ask them to write aren't in there. And if they're having trouble, I can use my things, my foot, so they remember, oh, I needed to kick out that O and put in the apostrophe. But I'm going to have them put in those words and then read the sentences. Then we move on to our soft C. Now here is where we are looking for that S sound instead of the K sound. So again, a visual is nice. You can just write on your whiteboard, C equals S, C equals K, and try and show them the differences. But we want them to read through these words. So I will circle the CE and go over that sound. S, and I might underline the word ice and ask them, what word? And see if they can give me ice back. I'll do the same thing with rice, same thing with face, and I'll do the same thing over with the CI. S, underline city, cigar, pencil, and I'll see if they can read them independently. If not, I will help them. I'll have them go back and repeat it correctly, but we want to make sure that they know that that C can make the S sound and the K sound. All right, and then we get to our goodbye slide. So here's where you want to say goodbye to the student, tell them they did a great job, count their rewards with them. If you have extra time, you can always go over anything. You probably will not have extra time though on this one at the end of that 10-minute demo lesson. But that is our quick slide by slide for that first level 4 on my country. Make sure you join me for the lesson B, which is the Earth environment one. I will put the link down below for that one so you can come back and see that one, but you want to be prepared for both of those lessons when you go into the certification center. All right, guys, if you do not yet have a referring teacher, make sure you contact me, reach out by email, or use my link below to apply at VIPKID. And if you have not yet subscribed, make sure you also hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any more of my videos. It means a lot to me. It doesn't mean much to you. So if you hit that subscribe button, thank you. I hope I see you guys all soon. Have a great day teaching. Bye.